Hello everybody. In this video, I'm not really going to be talking about how to start your business. I'm actually going to be talking about my experience right now in trying to start my business. It's an online business. It's an English school online. That's basically the idea I got just on Saturday. And like I mentioned in some of the videos before this video, I was actually starting to look for work. I'm still in that process because honestly, I'm at a crossroads right now where I'm figuring out what to do or how to continue career wise, where to work. And I got this idea of a business, right? But like a business model that I think may actually work. So I'm just going to be talking about some considerations, some points that you may want to consider when trying to start your own business. The first thing that for me kind of struck me like yesterday or 2 days ago was the social responsibility that you have as an entrepreneur or as a person that has a business. Even if you're not an entrepreneur and you're already a well-established businessman with a well-established business, you have a social responsibility. Now, a social responsibility goes further than just saying, oh yeah, like I'm providing my community or society with a product or a service or ideas. This, like, think about this. This is what I was thinking about. I was passing by a restaurant, like a local restaurant where they sell food, and I was thinking about like the owners of that place, and I was like, what happens if like someone that's there eats their food and then they get sick, right? Like they get a stomach ache, a really bad stomach ache, or they even die from eating at that place. And then they come back to the place, and the person that got sick or the family members of the person that died basically start like, challenging the owner, right? Or so this could go two ways. This could be with people that are genuine, like real, like something really bad happened based on your business. Or it could be with like scammers, with con artists, right, that are just trying to mess with your business, that are trying to mess with you, right? Because a business, think about a business is open, all day. So all day you could be having different kinds of people coming in there, some curious, some asking, some committed, some, committed that may end up having problems with your business, with your product, with your services, right? And others that are just trying to scam you because you're open for business, right? You're open to the people, right? So how do you handle this social responsibility? I think you need to have a balanced personality, and I admire like business owners because I think ultimately they need to have a balance of like not being aggressive, not being confrontational, not being like, yeah, right, like you're just trying to scam me attitude, like being not tolerant but being easygoing, but at the same time being like very firm, like not letting themselves get played by people, right? Which I think in the beginning, especially if you don't know what you're doing and you're starting a business, you may get played by people, right? But that's kind of like the price you have to pay, right? Excuse me. You learn once, and it's like you get scammed, you get robbed, whatever, but it's like you paid for that knowledge, right? That's where like selling ideas also comes into play because you are selling, you're buying the idea of, now I need to watch out for this. You're buying that knowledge, so to say. So yeah, you have a social responsibility to the public. How are you going to handle yourself against scammers? And how are you going to handle yourself and handle real problems when they come up, right? Now, when you start, you know, there's this school, there are these schools in Mexico, or I don't know if there are in other parts of the world, where you learn English. And in these schools, what ends up happening is that you have different departments. You have the academic departments where you have the teachers and the coordinator. You have the sales department, the people that try to bring in clients or students. You have the administrative department, which is the one that deals with all of the, bureaucracy, paperwork, and paying people. Sometimes they have a side a subsystem in that, which is the accounting department, which is the one that's in charge of like doing all the taxes and paying the people. You have like a maintenance department if it's like a school, like a physical school, right? And then you have like the clients, or like the, what's it called, like the students, right? When um, you're starting a business, you're gonna have to do all of those things, right? And the type of business model that I'm thinking of is like being a middleman, right? Like I'm just gonna come out and say it. It's like hiring teachers and connecting them to students, right? And you're the one that's taking care of all that. So in order for you to be that middleman, you're gonna have to interview and organize teachers, right, and their schedules. And that means you're gonna have to do like the role of a coordinator, of an academic coordinator, right? And on the other side, you have to get the students, so you're gonna have to kind of be a salesperson. And that's what I want to talk about in this point, or in this consideration. When you start a business, you become a salesperson, you become a salesman or a saleswoman. How good are you at selling? For example, I'm bad, I'm horrible at selling. But in this case, the advantage I have is that it's in my field, so I kind of know, uh, you know, some things about my field. So, in a very practical way, I can just translate that into sales and see if it works. But the highlight here, the emphasis I'm trying to make, is that you are going to become someone that's selling something, right? Kind of like in The Wolf of Wall Street, where Leonardo DiCaprio's character is selling things. So it's like, sell me this pen, right? You're gonna have to sell things. You're gonna have to sell, like they sell yourself, sell your service, sell your product. I'm the best in the market. I'll provide you with the best service, right? What do you need? Kind of like mother your clients, your potential clients, your prospects, right? So that's the other point. Now, there's a problem with objectives, and this point is going to touch on the problem with objectives, right? And the role it kind of has with flexibility and expectations. You don't want to become frustrated. So when you start, you're going to have to be very flexible. You're going to have to see how things kind of go, right? You can't have high expectations, because when you don't reach them, then you're going to feel frustrated. You're going to want to give up. You're going to be demotivated, right? So objectives, if you look at any like business plan, most of the time they always have an objective. What is the objective? What are the objectives? What are you trying to reach? What is your mission? What is your vision, right? My vision is to become the best school in the world, or something like that. It's like, whoa, like, so the problem with objectives is that ultimately objectives are good, but they're going to limit your flexibility, your willingness to adapt. And that's kind of like the paradox of objectives, because objectives help you, they define the road that you need to take, but they're also going to limit you, right? They're going to limit you, especially in the beginning, to potentially new things that are out there, right? Like new, very like subtle things, right? Like if you're, I don't know, if you're offering a certain service, but just a little bit off that, there's another service you could provide, but your objective is only to provide the first service, not the second. You're going to ignore that potential market for the second one, right? For example. So you need to I would say, more than having objectives or expectations, you're going to have to remain very open in the beginning, especially very flexible, right? Very willing to adapt to whatever new situations come up, right? I think that's the main thing. Now, you can have expectations, but they need to be flexible. Flexible expectations, I think, is how this paradox ultimately consolidates itself. The objectives, like for instance, you can have, like in my case, I have two. I have a short-term objective, which would be an objective to reach within a year, which would be ultimately to compensate me financially, right? And then I would have a long-term objective, which would basically be to like become a boss, right? And we all know that a boss doesn't really do much, right? So like they do very small things, but those small things are very important, right? And that's the job of a boss, right? It's because of the experience and because of their knowledge that they're able to be a boss, right? And obviously the benefits are, outweigh the work, because you have a lot of free time. You can focus on other activities. You can even start other businesses, right? That would be kind of crazy. So yeah, just be on the lookout for objectives. Yes, they're necessary. You can have very implicit objectives, right? Like very general, like this is what I want to reach long term, or maybe short term, within a couple months or a year, or within a couple years, long term. But in the meantime, like as of today, as of these weeks, I'm keeping myself open I'm keeping myself flexible, right? If it goes the right way, good. If it doesn't go the right way, well, can I correct it? If not, then oh well. If I can, then is it going good or not, right? Okay. And the last thing I want to leave you with is a tip. And I think there are like many things that influence this decision in me. And one of them is this documentary I saw on Rockefeller. Rockefeller, as you may know, was a tycoon, was a billionaire. I think one of the, well, he wasn't a billionaire, but he was a very rich person in the late 1800s, early 1900s, I think. And he got very wealthy with his oil business, right? And basically like monopolizing oil in the United States, which is illegal now. But he did this. He monopolized, and he also took a hold of the railroad systems and things like that. Like he did a lot of things. But one thing that I saw in the documentary, which was very interesting, is the way in which he would tackle or attack his competitors, his competition. So what he would do is he would drop his prices all the way down, like really low. Like the oil, like a tank or a gallon or a whatever of oil was like very cheap. He would drop the price. So then he forced his competition to also drop their prices, to the point that they would go bankrupt, right? They wouldn't have money anymore, because besides that, he would always have like backup money, backup plans, right? So these people would lose money. And then when they lost, he would jack up the price. And that's how he would ultimately monopolize basically the product, right? The oil in this case, the demand and the supply, because he was the only supplier left of oil. So he could choose whatever price he wanted. And obviously he would go for the highest price so he could make the most money. So that's very long-term intelligent thinking for those times, right? Especially the fact that you take away your competition while you're doing it, right? So you drop down. So that's just a tip. If you're starting out, and I think this is a very general tip, because I've seen a lot of businesses that are starting out do it. They'll give away things in the beginning, like think Shane or Uber, right? These type of businesses that are just starting out, in the beginning, they will give you a lot of free things, right, to kind of create loyal customers. And then eventually they'll jack up their prices, right? And then you'll be forced to buy whatever they're selling at those jacked up prices, right? At those high prices, because you're already hooked on the product or the service or whatever, right? And there's nothing you can do about it. So the tip here is like start low so you can eventually get high, right? That's kind of like the thing. So let me know what you think about this video. Like I said, these are just some considerations on starting your business. I'm going to be looking into this in the future. And if you want me to make videos talking about my process, I can. But yeah, that's all I got for this video, and I'll see you in the next one, all right? Peace.